all ages, welcome to Debate Crypto. In a world where hopium collides with common sense, it's your boy, CryptoKeeper, and as always, the one and only Blockchain Crusader, Miguel, my brother. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, bro. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. What do we got on the podium this evening?
Oh, tonight we're gonna sprinkle a little bit of hopium on these guys tonight, so they can sleep nice. Tonight we got tonight we got Bitcoin ETF, right? Salt Bay Bitcoin ETF. Could it, or what if? Should I say, what if the Bitcoin ETF extends the bull run into 2022?
Ooh. So the Bitcoin ETF, that's a hot topic for real. So literally yeah, exactly. You need to get out your fire poker. It's time to move some logs. It's going to get heated up tonight. Let's go, baby. All right. So Miguel, first of all, let's start off really simple, man.
Yeah.
Tell me, or tell the viewer that does not know, when they hear the word ETF. I know when I first got into the financial world, there was all these terms, the terminology, and unless you sat down and looked it up, a lot of people wouldn't stop to explain. So let's work this through start to finish. First, foremost, tell me what an ETF is.
In simplest terms, an ETF stands for exchange traded fund, right? It is a form of a derivative of whatever, right? In this case, it'd be Bitcoin. It'd be a way to expose yourself indirectly to Bitcoin on its up and down swings without actually having to buy any Bitcoin at all. Right? We have a lot of ETFs right now on the stock market, right? Whether it's a collection of companies, right? It's a collection of companies, so that way you're not invested in one direct company. You're just invested in the average of how all those companies are doing in the markets, so you can hedge your bets. And that's what they're trying to do with Bitcoin.
So ultimately, and I'll give another example just to throw this in there.
Mhm.
If you wanted to get exposure to a commodity, let's say gasoline or corn, right?
Mhm.
And you don't want to go out and buy 10,000 gallons of oil or gas or whatever, natural gas, whatever the case may be, right? You can get involved in an ETF. So it gives you the exposure to the asset without actually, hauling it back to the house and storing it in your garage. You know what I mean? Um,
Exactly,
and so,
exactly.
yeah, so that's what an exchange traded fund is. So, Miguel, why? Okay, there is so much buzz around ETFs. It's ETF this, ETF that. They've been talking about this for as long. I mean, they've been talking about this for a long time, right?
Oh yeah,
Why all the buzz around ETFs? Tell me that.
because it will provide a way to create so much more money, allow so much more money to come into Bitcoin, right? It's indirectly, but the fact that people will want to have this, people don't trust Bitcoin on the regular legacy system in the stock market. They don't want to own Bitcoin. They don't want to learn how to do it. So by doing that, they have, oops, wait a minute, what's going on here? Oh. By doing that, by doing an ETF, they will allow for going on. They will allow for people to that are in the stock market be able to put money into ETFs without setting up a Coinbase account, without having to go buy the asset, have custody over it, understand wallet addresses, so on and so forth, right? So
Okay.
this would allow for people that are in the regular legacy system to just, hey, this is Bitcoin ETF. I've been hearing a lot about Bitcoin. They tell their financial advisor, hey, buy me a few shares of that. And they just
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom. Here you go. It's in your portfolio now. No big deal. No worry about any of the crypto related technology.
Yeah, one of the things I talked about on Around the Blockchain the other day was, and first of all, guys, if you're in the live chat, X out, smash up the likes, make sure you're subscribed. We appreciate all the support. All the best thing that you can do for us besides subscribe is to like the video, comment, share, do all those things. So thank you very much, guys. I just thank you in advance. We love you guys. I was sharing on Around the Blockchain recently about how ETFs open the Bitcoin
Can of
world
worms. Yep.
up. Yeah, it opens the Bitcoin world up to people who otherwise A, don't understand Bitcoin, and B, probably don't even want to. So let's use I'll be stereotypical here and I'll say let's use my grandpa for example,
Yep.
right? 90 something years old, maybe got some money sitting aside, wants to do something with it and not ready to give it up yet. And he says, you know what? I hear you guys. I hear you, young whippersnappers. You want young whippersnappers, eh? Talking about this Bitcoin. And if you try to explain, let's be real. If I sat down and tried to explain Bitcoin to my grandpa is a smart, smart man. So is my grandma, right? First of all, I'd have to be talking really loud because hearing is definitely an issue at this point. Okay, um, but they wouldn't be able to really grasp it because, quite honestly, did the internet really make sense to people well before it was a thing, or when it
Of
first
course
came
not.
on it was like, well, wait a minute, what is this, right? And
Yeah.
so if you explained it just in simple terms like, hey, it's money that you need to have exposure to, grandpa, because it continues to grow, I think that's the easiest way you could explain it to someone that doesn't understand it. If you explained it in those terms, their financial advisor explained it in those terms, right? The almighty financial advisor, right? Then I think that it allows that those people that are part of the legacy system, part of the old school, just put your money in, let it grow at 3, 5, 7, 10% a year, gives them exposure into an asset that they otherwise wouldn't have. And here's the thing: the ETF, an actual ETF for Bitcoin. This is where a lot of people get confused. The ETF has to be backed by physical Bitcoin, right? So this isn't something where it's like, hey, I'm getting indirect exposure via this company, and they're doing this, that, and no, like the ETF is backed by physical Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin's there. It creates the demand. They ultimately, if the ETF gets big enough, they have to buy more, and the
Yeah.
demand higher and higher for
Yeah.
Bitcoin. So I
And
think it's really,
the biggest thing for the ETF, right? Once there's an ETF, people automatically legitimize, right? Think Bitcoin has now become legitimized. Now it is official, right? Because it is being traded on the stock market. The legacy system is getting part of it. These institutions are jumping into it. And then ETF is approved by the SEC or whatever, la la la.
yeah,
Now it is legit. Up until this point, it was just fugazi. It was magic. It was magic money, just right,
monopoly money.
like Wolf on Wall Street, right? Just fugazi. Nobody knows what it is.
Yeah,
It's just magic. So, but this would legitimize it in the eyes of regular retail investors that are in the stock market, which will be more willing to expose themselves to the ETF. At the end of the day, that's what the ETF is mostly about, and the ETF will cause a lot of hype and FOMO
yeah,
for us regular crypto people that are already been in crypto, because we know the flood of money that will come in, right? That the amount of hype that will be created over this. And that's why we're thinking, at least I think, could extend the bull run into 2022, depending
well, hold on a second.
how the
Let's
ETF
let let's
happens.
let's let's back up on this. So, let's talk about, first of all, just for a second. Let's talk about why, and you started to say it, why this ETF is going to why the retail trader, or why the institutional investor, just quickly, why do they believe that it's going to pump these markets so hard? Is it the influx of capital?
Yeah, it's the influx of capital, right? It's all
Yeah.
these people that are in the stock market that are not in crypto at all,
Okay.
that think crypto is illegitimate, and now they
Yeah.
see an ETF, hey, it's legitimized, and they
Yeah.
start throwing money at it, right? Not just that, institutional money can now have more legitimate way of saying, hey, we're not going to buy Bitcoin directly because we don't know whatever Fugazi regulation is around the corner,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
can buy this ETF and we can sell it to our investors, right? Our customers that are looking for exposure to Bitcoin. We can't legally tell them to buy Bitcoin because of
Right.
whatever for
Right.
liability purposes, but we can tell them to go buy this ETF and we can sell them a boatload of that, and therefore creates more demand for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Eventually, those people may jump off into the actual Bitcoin themselves, but like you said, right, the ETF needs to be backed by Bitcoin. Therefore, they will need to keep buying up Bitcoin supply. Bitcoin supply is already small, is already dwindling at
Yeah.
where it's at right now, creating more demand, more price action.
Just want to throw this out there. If you are in the TikTok live stream, guys, jump on over. Make sure you subscribe to Debate Crypto. It's Debate Crypto, no spaces, over on YouTube. We are live over there. That's where we will be answering questions. So I see you, Nicholas. I appreciate you letting me know. But definitely we will be answering questions and talking to the people over in the live stream over here on YouTube. So Debate Crypto. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Check this out. So we have this ETF, this talk of this ETF. We see all of this influx of money that should be coming, right? But let's be real. They've been talking about this ETF, Miguel. We've been in this for years, right? And they've been talking about this for a hot minute. They've already got one in Canada. Tell me, why do you think that Canada has an ETF, but the United States does not? Talk to me.
Bruh, you already know.
I know I do.
It's the US dollar,
Tell,
baby. It's
tell
the
the
US
people.
dollar.
Tell the
it's
people what they need to know.
it's the US dollar, right? The Canadians, right, they don't care about the US dollar in terms of whether it goes up or not. It has effects to them, but whatever. The US dollar, the American government is saying, oh, we need to put the reins on this, and we need to hold this thing down and hold it as long as we can to make sure that we can get ahead of this, whether it's by buying up Bitcoin and if you can't beat them, join them kind of scenario, or it's let's wiggle our way into the crypto space with a digital dollar or some type of merge between the banking system and crypto to make people stay in the crypto, stay in the banking system, and bring their crypto over there. I don't know what they're trying to do, but I know they're trying to suppress it, because the quicker Bitcoin blasts off, the quicker Bitcoin hits, $200,000, $300,000, the quicker that people in the legacy system, in the stock market, see these gains, see the legitimization of Bitcoin, start jumping over to crypto, start exiting the stock market. And we all know that this economy, it is measured by the stock market performance. So if the stock market is doing good, the economy is doing good, which is completely incorrect, by the way, for anybody that didn't know.
Yeah.
But they need to keep that illusion up, and they cannot let people flood out of stock market and into crypto. They need to find a way to, keep it together.
For sure. That's a great explanation. And you know what? It is total bullcrap, right? The reason that it is because we literally have been printing money like absolute crazy people, right? Trillions of dollars, trillions and trillions, and 40% of all of our money over the past hundreds of years or whatever was printed in the last 2 years or 18 months, I think, right? And so you can't, that money needed to go somewhere. So then guess what? A lot of it goes into investments, because maybe people have a couple extra dollars that they don't usually have, right? Or at least it feels that way. Now on the backside, you're paying 5x what you were paying for things like lumber, et cetera, et cetera. And, it's all a big, smoke and mirrors game is what it is. It ultimately, that's not an indication. Now, the other thing is, and this is part of why I believe that they're pushing hard against it, is for part of what you just said, Miguel. People are going to leave the stock market. They're going to leave that legacy investing, atmosphere to come over to crypto. They're going to say, thank you very much. Appreciate it. But I can get gains elsewhere with still some more risk, but way more upside. And there's a lot of people that are going to be willing to do that. And so
Of course.
if the gains get too wild and too out of control, now, side note, they already are. We are so spoiled in crypto. I talk about this all the time. But if the gains get any more wild, right, and the downside just continues to be, it's a big drop, but that was anticipated, this, that, and the third, people are going to be leaving. And when they leave, it signifies problems, and problems pile on top of problems, which piles on top of our government, which then leads them to do more crazy things like they're already doing. It is a snowball rolling downhill, and they see it coming, and they're going to get crushed by it. So let's go further with this ETF, Miguel. When are people anticipating? Now, obviously, all of this is speculation, but when are people anticipating the ETF to roll out, or what's the sentiment of the market? What are people thinking?
Yeah. So people are expecting and hoping that there is an ETF approval by the end of this year, right? Sometime within now, we're in October 13, between now and before the end of December, we have some type of announcement that the ETF is approved, right? That will cause huge amount of hype and FOMO. People are expecting this, and they're expecting it pretty soon, right? Sooner than just the end of December, because it is expected through historical patterns that Bitcoin should have a huge pump by the end of December, right before December 20th. So we need some type of catalyst event, something that will propel Bitcoin, that will cause the FOMO and hype that we had back in April and March, right, when Bitcoin was blasting off because
Yep.
all these companies were putting Bitcoin on this balance sheet. We
Mhm.
need that fuel again. We don't have that fuel currently.
Yep.
On-chain metrics are super bullish, right, about Bitcoin supply dwindling and being at a 3-year all-time low on
Yeah.
exchanges. But people don't see that. The average investor doesn't see that, so it doesn't create enough FOMO and hype for average investors. Therefore, this ETF announcement is what everyone is looking for to be the catalyst event to push on the Bitcoin price.
Yeah, they did a little fake out. For those of you that don't know, they did a totally. I call it a fake out. The other day they released, and I'm not
Ooh,
going to say.
give me a sec. Martin in the chat just said Bitcoin at 58K right now. Bitcoin is making
Let's
a run, dude. Bitcoin is
go.
making a run. I literally made a post in the Debate Crypto Academy before coming live speaking about Bitcoin making a run. And here we go, guys. Here it is.
Let's get it, guys. So check it out. So we had a little. Thank you, Miguel. Let's go, Bitcoin. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So we had kind of what I would call a fake out of an ETF the other day. Actually, it was right before I got on around the blockchain, maybe a week ago or a few days ago, whatever. We were talking, and DZ said, "Hey, an ETF just got approved." And we were like, "What?" Like I about jumped out of my chair, and I'm like, "What are you talking?" Oh, I'm like scrambling for my keyboard, looking at where can I find this, right? And then he's like, "Well, kind of." And so ultimately, the ETF that did get approved, and it did, is for exposure to companies that a portion of their balance sheet is in Bitcoin. So let's look at it. It's giving you a group of companies who hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So it's giving you indirect exposure to Bitcoin. That's not what we're looking for, right?
Yeah.
We are looking for a direct exposure. We are looking for someone that's going to be investing heavily in Bitcoin to put out an ETF, and they are going to, it's actually, the ETF is going to be actually physically backed by Bitcoin. That is what we need. The other thing with that also is if the ETF is in play, they are holding that Bitcoin, which holds and props up some more of that Bitcoin as as people try to flood in to get involved. And so that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for all in. We want to go hard. We want to go ham. Let's talk about what happens when it does happen, Miguel.
Yes.
What are your thoughts of what's going to happen? Because listen, you and I are having this conversation right now. And we're not, as much as I'd like to think we're the only geniuses that are forward thinking here, right? We're not the only people that believe that this is happening, that it's going to happen. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We might not be the only people that have the idea that, hey, what if it doesn't happen how we think it will? Because that's kind of how life happens as it relates to investing. So what does it look like? Let's look over the options of what could happen. Let's first of all, tell me what would happen if it was a mirror image of 2017. We both remember this.
Yeah. So what happened 2017. So what happened there was, right, we had this big speculation of futures trading coming on, right, to the Chicago exchange, and everybody was like, "Whoa, that's it! This is going to legitimize Bitcoin, right? This is going to legitimize Bitcoin."
The Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the CME.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, CEB. And what happened? Exactly that. Lots of FOMO, lots of hype. Bitcoin blasted off, right? But what happened the minute it launched? Gigantic selling pressure, right?
Yep.
It was a way to put the brakes on Bitcoin and stop it from continuously running, and it dumped the price, leading to the end of the Bitcoin bull run and the beginning of altcoin season. Everybody had a great time there as well. But this time around,
a lot of people did that were able to actually get out and take some profits.
Not me, but
not me. I rode that one all the way down.
Yeah,
hey,
rookie mistakes, right? Rookie mistakes.
Yep.
So what do I think is going to happen? I think a lot of people are thinking the same thing. Bitcoin ETF caused a lot of hype and FOMO, just like the futures trading did back in 2017. And then we're going to skyrocket. The minute it launches, it's going to dump. The amount of selling pressure is what's going to put the brakes on Bitcoin, right? BitBoy has spoken about this a lot of time. The financial cartel trying to put a brake on on Bitcoin and suppress the price. And I think that they could do this through the disguise and the Trojan horse of an ETF.
Yeah, that's a great thought. I will say, as it relates to the ETF, there is a saying that you'll hear quite often as it relates to investing, and it is, um, if I could think straight, there is a saying in investing that is, oh, buy the rumor, sell the news. One of the most common sayings that you'll ever hear. I just had a little brain fart there, right? Buy the rumor, sell the news. And that's exactly what happened in 2017, 2018 with the CME futures. When the CME futures dropped, it was a sell the news because we absolutely dumped. I think we dumped, if I remember right, on the day
Yes, the
the
day
day.
close to the hour that it
Yep.
launched, sell, sell,
Yep.
sell, sell, sell.
Yeah. And so the reality is we do live in a world where crypto is monopolized, if you will, by
Mhm.
these huge institutions. And these institutions do talk and they do, quote, work together because they want to sell us the top. They want us FOMOing in. And so here's what I do think, though, Miguel. I think that some of this on this upcoming run is going to be baked in. Let's say it happens in, let's say it happens before the end of the year, like we're talking about, right? I think that some of what we have going on right now, up to and including a nice big massive run past all-time highs, which we're not too far from there right now. I think that baked into that is the idea that we are going to have an ETF. And it does make me wonder if there are institutions that are front running that idea, that they are all but certain it's going to happen and they're front running that idea. The second thing, and I know you hate hearing about this, excuse me, but I could see, and I know this would sound wild, right? But I
Yeah.
could see XRP settling the case and an ETF happening around the same time. It would make things go. I'm talking, you want to talk about face melting gains, and the XRP army absolutely crazy about their project, right?
Yeah.
Then let's go another step further. The Bitcoin maxis, are you kidding me? Right?
Yeah.
So now we're talking about two of the biggest things that could happen in crypto to date happening around the same time. That's where I think you're going to see this. You could see this massive, massive run and then a massive, massive dump. But let's
Yes.
look one step further or another option. What happens if this ETF doesn't get approved right now? We go into the start of next year. Maybe we're still running. Maybe we're kind of flat, whatever the case may be. And then it gets approved. Does it jumpstart us? Does it give us rocket fuel again? Or is it just, hey, right now, it's now or never? What do you think?
So before we get to that question, I wanted to say that the whole Bitcoin ETF thing and people baking in the price, I think there is some validation to that for the simple fact that I've been posting a lot on the Big Crypto Academy about on-chain metrics, about long-term hodlers, showing the charts to people
Yeah.
about what is happening with Bitcoin supply and how long-term holders are holding more Bitcoin now than ever, even though they're in huge amounts of profit. They're not selling, right? When long-term holders were in this amount of profit before, back in earlier this year, we started to see them sell, and
Yeah,
they
that's
started
true.
to begin the top
Yeah.
of that 65,000. They're not selling right now. Why?
Yeah.
Because they're trying to front run that ETF announcement, knowing what's coming from there. Nobody's going to want to sell now. Everybody's
Yeah.
going to be kicking themselves if they sold Bitcoin at 58 when it blasts off to 150 in the next couple of months if the ETF gets announced, right?
Yeah.
So this, I believe that if that get the announcement of Bitcoin ETF will propel Bitcoin. But then
Huge.
you have to think of when the launch date is. If the launch date is later next year, that's when I think the Bitcoin bull run will hyperextend into next year
Yeah.
and keep going until that launch date, and then kapoof, Bitcoin goes down. But to your question about Bitcoin ETF being announced later, right, in 2022, after we think the top is in, we've had probably some type of parabolic movement downward,
Yeah.
we've had gigantic crash. I honestly, I think it could propel some level of excitement back into the markets. I think it's something that we've spoken about a lot, saying that now that institutional money is here, the bear market will not be as boring as it was in the previous cycles. The bear
Yeah.
markets are going to be more volatile than ever. And I
Yep.
think that could be a perfect example of creating massive volatility in there, because that would break cycles, right? That
Oh
would
yeah.
break cycles. Now Bitcoin goes from its top, whatever that was without the ETF. ETF gets announced. We have massive hype and FOMO again. We might see some gigantic spike in price action, but we're technically in a bear market. We shouldn't be doing this anymore. We could see another, depressing selling pressure from the ETF, and then we're
Okay.
having these gigantic price spikes up and down
Okay.
throughout 2022 when people are expecting a bear market. And
Yep.
from there on, the game will forever be different.
Let me say two things on that. First of all, that is the reason right there, folks, why people ask about, selling, not selling, taking profits, don't take profits, how much to take, when to take, whatever. That's part of the reason that we try to help people in debatecrypto.academy, right? We've got the academy to help educate people to then help make better decisions as it relates to their investments, right? We're not financial advisors. We're not giving financial advice, but what we're doing is educating people enough to be able to have a functional working understanding of these markets and what they look like and what to look for. That's what the seminars are all about every weekend. Guys, check us out, debatecrypto.academy. We'd love to have you. But that being said, I'm gonna throw a little sugar. I'm gonna throw a little spice on top of this. Now let me add a third propellant onto the fire. What happens if XRP, Bitcoin ETF, ETH 2.0, all three things that we are thinking are supposed to happen, right? All at this magical end of the year, right? Are we in for the Christmas of a lifetime, or are we in for the absolute epic dump? And I think that the it's scary because the final straw is that there is so much uncertainty in the world we live in right now. We live in a chaotic world. I don't care where in the world you live. It doesn't matter where you live. We live in a time where societies are becoming I don't know how else to put it, but tyrannical, right? And so because we have that going on, we never know what that next step forward is and how that will impact the markets. I do believe that the ETFs long term are huge. I believe ETH 2.0 is going to be huge for ETH and the rest of the market below that. I do believe we're going to have another alt season. And I do believe that ultimately right now we are going to see another push up, as I think that some of that hype is baked in to what we're going to be seeing right now. What I can say is that you need to have a game plan, because you can never be so sure, because I thought I knew what was going on in 2017 as well. Now, was I new to the markets? Yes. But I will tell you, and I want to throw this out to you new investors out there, right? When I got in, I thought I was God's gift to investing. I've talked about this before, right? Because I could do no wrong. I mean, I was beating my chest, right? I'm a savage. I can't miss. I'm making money hand over fist. My God, I have found my calling, right? And then the start of 2018 came. And so what we're trying, when you hear myself, BlockchainCrusader, right? And a lot of other people that talk in this space, whether it be YouTubers or not, people that have been in this for years, they're telling you to try to help you. Smart people learn from their own mistakes. Truly wise people learn from others' mistakes. Get a game plan together, guys. We need to see you do well. You need to see you do well. And if you do need help with that, hey, debatecrypto.academy. That's my that's my second shameless plug of the night. So, but yo, what you got?
Yeah, man. I think, when you're talking about societies, about the world, we live in the age of misinformation, right?
Yep.
We're kept,
Misinformation.
yeah, misinformation, not the age of information, of
Yep.
misinformation. There's so much information out there. You don't know what's right and what's wrong. If you Google, is sugar good for you? You'll find articles saying it's the best thing for you, for your health. If you Google, is sugar bad for you? You'll find articles saying that sugar gives you cancer, right? So there
Yep.
is both sides. Your world depends on what you Google. What you Google is what your world is made of. That is your reality. Your reality is
And your
being
bias.
constructed. Yeah, your biases, whatever it is that you do, that reality is being created for you, right? So there's tons of misinformation. That's why nobody can agree on anything. And this psychological effect of misinformation is going to be used by institutions to break the mold. We are comfortable with Bitcoin cycles, with the market cycles. They are going to use whatever tools they can. Whether they can break the cycles or not doesn't matter. The fact that they can put into our minds psychologically, make us think that they can, could, and will affect how people invest and when they take profits, when they
Yep.
sell or buy, and it will affect the market. So I think that the misinformation will be used to definitely change the markets. Even if they don't directly change it through money influence, they're going to change it psychologically.
Yeah, guys, check it out. No one knows myself and Miguel, Blockchain Crusader, and myself and Miguel, among many, many other people. No one truly knows what's going to happen in these markets. We are all speculating. Okay. We are all, let me say it again, speculating. So, with that in mind, we need to be looking at, what does my portfolio look like? What am I looking to gain as it relates to my portfolio? Is my outlook short term, medium term, long term? What does that look like? How much risk am I willing to take? There are 50 different questions that need to be
Yeah.
asked of yourself to figure out what makes the most sense for you. Okay. I just want to encourage, as always, education and responsible investing. We want you to win. We, believe it or not, right? We love you guys. We
Yeah.
want you to make money the same way that we've been making money, right?
Yes.
And so it is not a given, it is a blessing. And, but you have to work for this blessing, right?
Yeah.
This is not just a Jesus blessing where you just get it because that's what he did for us, right?
Yeah.
You got to do some work for this one, right? You have got to do some work. You've got to get yourself educated. We want you guys to win. Miguel, before we jump on here, do we have any questions that anyone asked that we should touch on?
I don't see any questions, but meanwhile, you look through that. I'm just going to finish off with
Yeah.
the reason why we're so dedicated to bringing education to you guys and making you guys sure that you guys win and make money. It's not because we want to make money off of you guys. It's because in 2017, when we were in the markets, there was no education. There was
Yeah.
no resources, right? Now there is a bombardment of content creators and research and all this stuff online, but now you don't know how to filter out the BS from the good information, right?
Yeah.
You go on TikTok, you go on YouTube, you're always gonna find content creators shilling their own coins, shilling their own bags, their own NFT projects. And you're just at the mercy of these content creators, hoping that they give you a good one, that you saw the video early enough to get in early enough to get some profits. You're just at the mercy of content creators. And we don't want that for you guys.
Yeah.
We don't shill projects. We don't do those kind of things. We want to give education so you guys can have the tools to then go out there and make these decisions for you. We want to give a point of reference where all the research is already done for you, easily digestible, and just present it to you. So it doesn't take you 5 years like it's taken us of research every single day, reading up on the crypto markets and understanding this technology, that technology,
Yeah.
to become a good investor. Become a good investor in the next 5 to 6 months by educating yourself in
Yep.
one point of reference where everything is being handed to you.
Couldn't have said it better myself, guys. If you are looking for that, debatecrypto.academy, we would love to have you guys. Until next time, hodl like
Like
it's
it says,
hot.